What is going on? Today, just want to make a video about emotional management in trading. Um, Basically, this is just like the page of notes that I was making of solutions, problems with emotions, and I've been doing a lot of research for a good year now of emotional management and stuff like that. And there are a few real key lessons that I think can really help you. So the first thing is the heart and emotion. So basically the heart tends to be the place, from what I've read, tends to be the place where our emotion not necessarily originates, but we have certain little like I think they're like neurological cells in our hearts, which actually help us to detect and feel emotion. And so that's why naturally I think we instinctively go, I love you, and have one hand on your heart or something, or it breaks my heart. It's because we can feel that it's from that place. So I'll come back to that in a minute. Next one is physiological tools. So if you've just had a losing trade, for example, and you feel just like beaten up, you feel like shit, changing your physical state is also something that can really, really help. So for example, when I have a losing trade, sometimes I go for just the most ridiculously quick run. I don't mean quick as in time. I mean, I'll be sprinting and sprinting just because I want to change my state fast. And then obviously you get other benefits of that from that as well. So that's a really, really powerful one. The next one is the amygdala. Now, I don't want to get too technical here, but basically, we have our logical brain, our thinking brain, and the amygdala kind of has is basically our emotional center, I believe. And so basically, when something triggers you, when you, for example, something makes you really angry, what happens is your amygdala will take over and your emotion will start controlling you instead of logical thought. So this is often why, when we get riled up, when we get really emotional about stuff, we stop thinking logically. It just all goes out the window. We can't seem to control it. It's because basically what's happened is you've had, as Daniel Goleman put it, an emotional hijacking. Okay, it's hijacked your ability to make decisions. And in trading, when this happens, whether it's fear of missing out, fear of loss, not being able to stay in a trade, whatever, if you let that rile you up, basically you will lose your logic to this experience. And as a result, you'll stop thinking logically, which is what we need as a trader. So the ways that we'll combat that, I'll come to in a second. So, um, and deeply accepting uncertainty and preventing fight or flight. So, in terms of preventing fight or flight response, that kind of links to the amygdala, which I'll go into in a bit more detail in a second. But deeply accepting uncertainty is extremely important. Now, the markets are uncertain. There is nothing guaranteed in these markets, and um, the sooner you accept that just because you have a set of rules, just because you have an edge, doesn't mean that you're going to know if that particular trade is going to play out in your favor. Your job is simply to manage your internal state, stay calm, focused, relaxed, and unaffected by just watching probabilities play out. So I'd say those are the four things that I've kind of really looked into, and I'm really kind of applying best I can. And then also there is actually, I know I've put it down there. Okay, so some actual techniques is meditation. This is really good with bringing awareness to yourself, within yourself. And when you're aware of something sooner, you can stop that fight or flight response and prevent that amygdala kind of overwhelm of emotion, because you become more present, you become more aware of your thoughts, your feelings, so that when they come up, you quickly identify them. And once you're aware of them, that immediately takes some of their power away. And then you can, maybe do some relaxation. You can take deep breaths. You can do loads of different exercises to calm yourself down. But the main thing is that you're aware of it. Because if you're not aware of it, then it will just take you over and you'll just keep making the same mistakes over and over again. So yeah, so focusing on set and forget trades with fibs and limits. This is really powerful, at least with my strategy, because I can just set the limit, walk away from the chart, and do something else instead of constantly watching it, because that is a very big thing. But if you can't do that with your strategy, just actively walk away from the charts. Just set alerts at certain price points if you want to move your stop to break even or whatever it is, or trail or stop, or whatever. and just walk away from the charts. Make a conscious effort every single day to place a trade, walk away and go do something else. Go and check it every hour or every half an hour, whatever it is. Okay. Next one is a mantra affirming the outcome, that the outcome of the markets is uncertain, and the concept of control of outcome causes you to lose your power. So the market is uncertain. We have an edge, but we don't know for sure. We basically can't predict what happens in the markets because at the end of the day, it's controlled by other people, and other people can change their mind. They don't necessarily just always abide by technicals, etc. So we have to understand this, because the moment we think that we can control the outcome, we think that we're just going to absolutely kill the markets all the time, we lose our power, because we basically are assuming that we can predict the market. And when you do that, you kind of have a sense of invincibility, which limits your logic. Okay, so really important to understand that the market is completely uncertain. Like when you're placing a trade, you're just letting probability play out instead of fantasizing over the potential win of each trade. So if you set a trade and you're like, oh my god, if I win this, I'm gonna get like 3-4% of my account. Like I'm really, really, pumped about that. Instead of focusing on that, you want to ask yourself, am I fully okay with losing the amount that I'm risking? Do I fully understand that the market is random and I cannot control the outcome? Because if you ask this before every trade, you will begin to accept the actual risk that you're taking, because you are taking a risk. And if you focus on a positive outcome, if that doesn't come, which is very possible, then you're just setting yourself up for being unhappy and overall just in a low performance state for your trading. um, and what other sources can I get feel good emotions from so that my happiness doesn't revolve around trading outcomes? So this was a big one for me because, I'd be trading and one day I'd basically want to, I'll basically be placing trades and I'd be like kind of in this middle, not happy, not sad state. And then if I ended the day on a loss or in a positive, if let's just say it was in a loss, like I'd be really like down and like depressed, and I wouldn't be, as nice as I'd normally be to, my family, everything like that. And then if I had a great day, I'd be, bouncing around, and that is just not a good way to live. So this kind of ties in with walking away from the charts, not taking it too seriously, accepting the risk, because if you place your happiness in something that's uncertain, then you're basically just setting yourself up for failure, and that's not what we're trying to do here, and that's no life. Even if you're really, really rich, but your day is completely dependent on your trades, then that's shit. Okay, so how can I internalize that all I need to do is execute my plan? So if you have a trading plan, that is your edge. If you deviate from your plan, you may temporarily get a win, but overall, you're basically just like destroying your own edge. That's all you're doing. So the thing that you need to internalize is basically, how can I execute my plan perfectly? And then a really good thing that I've started doing is I've implemented an emotional management plan, which I'll get to in a second, within my trading plan. So all I have to do is read that every single day and follow it as close as I can. Okay, these are just some more bullet points. I was just kind of like letting the thoughts flow out of me at this point. But number one is truly acknowledging and accepting the idea of losing a trade instead of idolizing the potential win. Okay, so this is just a practical application of this one here. So preventing the uncertainty of the markets that cause the fight or flight response. Preventing trading in a state of euphoria, because euphoria just destroys your logic. Gaining control over your impulses. Fear of missing out. The reason that we are often acting impulsively is because we don't have awareness of, and therefore cannot take any steps to prevent a emotional state taking you over and stopping you thinking logically. Like, for example, if I have a fear of missing out, if that fear gets to a certain point, I'm gonna be like, oh right, fuck it, I'm just gonna like enter this, like fuck it, I know I'm a bit late, and then it ends in a loss. Or even if it's a win, that just reaffirms it and just sets you up even worse. So in fact, I'm actually gonna write this down. Impulses come from an emotional hijacking. Okay, so yeah, impulses come from an emotional hijacking. When we become aware of the emotion sooner and sooner, we can take steps earlier and earlier to prevent an emotion becoming so overwhelming that it takes over our thinking brain and causes us to act impulsively. Okay, so this is really, really important. And then this is a really, really big one, the next one. Okay. And this is something that I think a lot of people have confused. And this idea of just being able to trade without any emotion, like that is the ideal scenario. We just have no emotion and blah, blah, blah. And we can just basically just be a robot. But in reality, it's a bit of a paradox because we are emotional human beings. As humans, we are, emotional. We feel emotion. And I think it was Carl Jung that said, "What you resist persists." Now, I think he was I think he's a psychologist or something like that, or psychotherapist or something like that. And basically, what he meant by that is when you resist something, in particular an emotion, what you're doing is you are basically giving it the food to grow. Okay, because essentially where you place your attention is where you place your energy. And if you are placing your energy into something that you don't want to happen, like I don't want to feel fear, I don't want this, I don't want this, etc., then the result that you're going to get is that's actually going to grow because you're concentrating on it and therefore giving it more energy. Okay, so what I found to be really helpful is not trying to stop fear. Like, for example, when I placed this trade, I was like, okay, like right now, I'm like, okay, well, shit, like this could go against me. But instead of me going, right, like I shouldn't be feeling this fear, I shouldn't be blah, 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 judging myself, okay, I actually like invite that in more. And because when you do that, you're basically being empathetic with yourself and you're kind of being your own therapist in a way. And you're basically not giving the emotion the fuel to grow and become overwhelming. And instead, you're just inviting it in, being like, okay, well, why am I feeling this? Is there a way that I can help myself here? Instead of just trying to make yourself into some sort of like weird trading robot type thing, right? And understand why they're there and accept them as part of you. Be grateful you have the ability to feel in such a sensitive way to the environment. Just be grateful for the fact that you can feel like this. Don't place your entire happiness again in trading and trading outcomes. Um, and then the next one is losing one or multiple trades will not kill you, merely get you closer to a winner. Either way, you must embrace your emotions of a win and loss and recognize them as two elements of the same organism. Okay, so long story short, embrace your emotions and don't try and block them out because that just makes them stronger and gets you further away from being a consistently profitable trader. Right now, this is the actionable stuff, and this is my emotional trading plan right here. So priming your state before trading. So this is before you start trading, and then the second half will be how to manage your emotions during trading. Okay, so ultimately we want to be focused, relaxed, and understand we're stepping into an uncertain environment. Okay, you want to just know that every single day before you start trading. Placing your happiness in the idea of positive trade or trades is setting yourself up for disappointment, which leads to more bad trade decisions and more unhappiness. Sorry about that. So number one is feel good. So you want to have some kind of exercise that makes you feel good. It can be exercise. It can be, just watching like a really happy video. I don't know, whatever it is for you. You will know how to feel good, I'm sure. Next two is a mantra, affirmations about uncertain markets or probabilities. You can replace this with like a good trading psychology book or something like that, or just read like a chapter or something like that. Just anything to get your brain in the right state. I don't do this every day, but I do it some days, and that's better than nothing. Number three is meditation. So becoming self-aware. This is really important to manage your emotional state and keep you logical throughout the day. And then four is forget the money by setting daily growth goals instead of outcome goals. So instead of me, what I used to do is I'd be like, right, I want to make 2% today. Okay. And sometimes, some days I'd hit that. Some days I wouldn't, but it would crush me because I think that I was failing. Okay. So what I've started doing is instead of me setting outcome based goals, it's always growth goals. Can I stick to my trading plan 90% plus this week? Today I want to follow my management plan almost perfectly if possible, and then you track all of these things and then just keep tweaking them. Okay, because when you set that, you become so involved with the process, and the process is what leads to the outcome. When you focus on the outcome, you ignore the process as much as you should be, and therefore you separate yourself from the outcome by obsessing over the outcome. So it's a bit of a another paradox. Trading is just full of these weird psychological paradoxes, but There you go. Number 5 is acknowledging your emotions and inviting more of them in whenever they need to come instead of blocking and resisting them. This is really, really powerful. Just practice this outside of trading first, because sometimes trading emotions can be quite intense. If you start feeling the emotion, if you start getting a bit scared, just realize that it's there and just invite it in. Feel your body. How does that feel? And just don't try and resist it, because resisting it just makes it stronger and keeps it in your life for longer, therefore getting you away from your goals. So next one is how to manage your emotions during trading. Okay. Emotions are not the enemy, despite how most people portray them, especially in trading. They are actually your ally. Okay. So resisting emotions results in them growing to the point they are unbearable, and we lose the calm, collected state that makes us happy and allows us to make good decisions. So if you feel flustered, fearful, miserable, angry, etc., number 1 is become aware of how you're feeling, tune into it, invite it in. So this is not a thinking process. Okay. When you have a feeling, if you think about it, you're just going to make it more, you're going to make it worse, and you're going to start thinking more fearful thoughts, whatever it is. And that's just going to kind of create a bit of a spiral. So what you want to do is, when you feel, fearful, miserable, angry, just focus in, maybe even close your eyes and just focus on how your body feels. How do your hands feel? How does your chest feel? How does your skin feel? And you don't want to resist it. You want to consciously ask yourself, this is step 2, what is the worst case scenario here? Okay. And consciously imagine the worst possible outcome of this. So, for example, if you're scared about losing a trade, and you've risked like 3% or 2%, 1%, whatever, just imagine, right, okay, if I lost this, have I lost this amount before? Was I okay? Have I bounced back from this before? Is this the end of the world? No, it's not. And just start to defend yourself, instead of like, okay, this is not, this is not that bad. And then the next thing you want to do is, you don't want to resist the feeling, but you've got to accept that you should take a little bit of a break. Even a 10-minute break is fine. And then 4 is radically change your physiology. So quick press ups, jogging on the spot, breathing exercises, even smiling, which is why I put facial expressions, can actually improve your mood. Even correcting your posture, standing in power poses, anything like that is really, really powerful. If you don't want to change your physiology, then I would suggest just getting your mind on something else. So read a chapter of a book, watch an episode of your favorite TV program, whatever it is, okay? And then just do that, because ultimately you just want to change your state. And after a while of doing this, after a while of becoming self-aware, if you meditate regularly, you'll become aware of your feelings more and more and more. And the result of that is you'll begin to see where your emotions are about to take control of you, stop that from happening. And then the ultimate goal is to stop these emotional outbursts when you're trading, which leads to more consistency, which leads to better results. So that's it for today. I really hope that you've enjoyed this one. This is something that I wish somebody would have shown to me when I first started. Yeah, I'll see you on the next one.